G'day guys, thanks for stopping by. Today's video is going to be reasonably quick, basically because I had planned on doing this video but a little bit down the track. I'm actually squeezing this one in ahead of schedule because I've noticed that the item that we're about to do a review of is actually available at Aldi again this weekend. Now this is a rechargeable fan, operates off 12 volt or it can operate off 240, and it's also got a little battery pack on board as well, which makes it really handy. One of my friends had a Coleman, which is very similar to this one here, and there are a number of different brands that you will see that look very similar to this, albeit slightly different. The premise is all the same: 12 volt, rechargeable battery on board, and possibly a 240 volt input, which pretty much comes down to a little wall adapter, little wall wart that's going to drop the voltage down to the input required for the fan to operate on. The reason I'm pushing this one ahead of everything else is I'm really happy with this, and I'm going to go down and buy myself another one when they come on this Saturday. It is the 4th of February 2019, just so you know. All I can say is that this is really good. One of my mates picked up one as well, and he's been super impressed with his. This has been common across all of the brands. A number of things that popped up when I was doing some reviews and some research on this was that if the fan in any way starts to speed up or slow down, regardless of the input, whether it be 12 volt, 240 or battery, then take it back, because apparently the next thing that it's going to do is poop itself, and so you'll need to take it back and get a replacement. But that seemed to be across the brands regardless of which one you've got, but I did see it on the majority of the brands I looked at, so it seemed to be a bit of a common issue. We're just going to jump straight in. Going to show you a little quick comparison against some of the fans that I've already got and I've previously used in the caravan. Thus far, this little Aldi one here has been the best one that I've had to date, and I wanted to share it with you just in case anybody was interested in picking one up this coming on weekend. The first cab off the rank is the one that actually come with the caravan, so it only has a 240 volt input. This will not operate on battery or 12 volt. And for about 10 bucks, 15 bucks or something, these can be had really cheap. This is just referred to as a box fan. It does have a timer feature, and you can also have it oscillate by the means of this front section spinning here. One issue I have seen with this design is, and the same with this one, this front gets very wobbly and does wobble a little bit and can create some noise. For me, to have a fan on in the caravan, I want it to be as quiet as possible. Usually when I need the fan on in the caravan, it's because I'm going in to have a snooze, it's a hot day, so I need it to be relatively quiet. The next one I went out and bought was the Coolbreeze. Based on a number of reviews that I saw online, this one seemed to get some pretty good responses. I think I paid around about the $50–60 for this one. I'll put it up on the screen there. This one come from Snowy's. Snowy's are pretty good to deal with here in Australia. Got it out to me quickly, all good. There are a couple of problems with this one. The first, it's noisy as all hell. It literally sounds like a rocket ship or a jet taking off in the caravan. And I can't see how anybody could classify this fan as quiet. This sucks the juice. We'll switch this Coolbreeze onto its lowest setting. Straight away, we're looking at, on its lowest setting, double the current draw of what we looked at for the Aldi version. Turn up to its second setting, which is its middle setting. Okay, and we're up to around about 2.7 there. We'll go up to high, and you'll see that's now jumped up to 3.7. That's getting up towards 4 amps, which is absolutely massive for a fan. So we're now outside the caravan, out the front, and you can probably hear that fan from out here. My friend went and picked up one of these. He was actually asking me about these Coolbreeze ones. He was looking online, reading the same reviews that I saw, and he called me up and quizzed me about it. And my instant response was, don't touch one. They're just too bloody noisy and they're just too power hungry. This is the breezeway fan. This was another one that I saw in competition with the Coolbreeze there to the right. They're pretty much the same fan, albeit a little bit reversed there. The switches are identical. And they've both got these cheap plastic handles on top, albeit this one's seen better days. This one I did pick up second hand, because when I was looking at the reviews of these two, and when I picked up the Coolbreeze, a lot of people said this one was quieter, this one was quieter, and because that was one of the issues I had with this one, when this one came up on eBay for 10 bucks, I thought I'll snag it, it's local, I'll go grab it. One of these overnight could literally bring, you know, your 100 amp hour battery system to its knees. But again, didn't find that one any better than this one. They're too noisy for a caravan, and they suck a hell of a lot of juice. And that brings us over to the little Aldi fan here, which is just an outstanding little fan. It's nice and quiet. It can get a little bit of noise through the oscillation mechanism here. Of course, the oscillation mechanism is activated just by this little clicker here. You just turn it one way for on, other way for off. As you can see, it's an Adventure Ridge, which is the Aldi brand. It is rechargeable with LED lights. You get approximately 2.5 hours out of a fully charged battery. Haven't really tested that. I can say I've had it for at least an hour, probably an hour and a half. No issues, and continue to run through there. And typical with Aldi stuff, as far as the Adventure Ridge items go, we've got a 1-year warranty. And again, similar to Bunnings, if you've ever had to return anything to Aldi, they're really easy to deal with, so wouldn't have any concerns about that. I've showed it to my friend Steve when we were away for Australia Day long weekend, and he absolutely loved it. So Stephen, what do you think of the Aldi fan?
That is outstanding. It is stinking hot today. We've only just put that on a couple of minutes ago. As you can see, we're doing some file downloading, and that just changes everything. It's awesome.
It's so much cooler.
I wish you'd stop it oscillating and just point it at me.
Yeah. Well, I was considering turning it off oscillating and just pointing it at me.
Yeah, good on you.
I was considering that was wasted space when I just looked at it in the back of the van until I pulled it out and switched it on. I've just changed my mind.
This is mad, that thing.
I'm going to get back in front of it. I'm on the wrong side of the bastard. Now down the bottom on the front of the fan, you've got your input, so you can either have it on DC, and when it's on DC and plugged in, it will charge, and you'll see this little light come on. It will be red. When it gets to fully charged, it will go green. Alternatively, you can switch it over to battery there like that, and using the switch over on the right hand side, flick it to high or low. I would have liked 3 settings, but that's the fan on low, and I'm not sure whether you'll be able to hear that. You'll often hear it make that little click when it's on oscillation, and it will pause for a little bit, but don't be worried, it will eventually turn and come back. Now we're getting close because you'll hear a little bit of a vibration there, and that does bother me a little bit, frankly. I like my fans to be silent, but overall, still, with that little bit of a vibration coming out of it compared to the other ones, not even a comparison. Seriously, those other things sound like they're going to take off. Just pop it over to high. Now oddly enough, that vibration doesn't seem to be there all the time, so I haven't quite figured out what it is making that noise. Now there is a plastic rod that runs down there and basically goes down to the bottom of the fan itself. That's the oscillation mechanism, which rotates this whole section here. It's not the strongest, and to be honest, I would expect that to be the first thing to break if something did go. Again, just because it's not that sturdy. There are some clips around here. If you need to get into it and make an adjustment or to clean the fan, you can do that easily enough. Now another thing that's really awesome about this is the length of 12-volt cable that they supply you. I'm going to say somewhere about 3.5 meters, possibly even 4 meters on that. So that's really handy. I haven't finished doing the job of putting my little 12-volt sockets all over the caravan yet. It's work in progress. You know, in a small to medium-sized caravan, possibly even a larger one, providing you've got a 12-volt socket there, pretty much plug it in the front and set up the fan down the back. Not going to be an issue at all. The wall wart itself is nothing exceptional. We've all seen those. Now to charge, I think it was costing around about 0.2 of an amp or something like that. That's in addition to the low power usage when you're actually running the fan itself. The only thing we've got connected up at this point is the Aldi fan, and you will actually see that it is now showing charged, so we're no longer charging the battery. We'll switch this on to low and you'll be able to see what the draw is there. You see if that voltage drops down, the amps is going to come up to give it that required wattage. And we'll just turn it up to high. We've gone up to 1.1 amps. There's not much difference between the high setting and the low setting on this fan. The one thing that does make a difference is when it's trying to charge the battery. It takes around about 0.2 to 0.3 amps. So on high there, we've got 1 amp, which is absolutely exceptional, I think, for the amount of air that this fan moves. Now another little thing, it's a nice little bonus but not required, is there's 2 little lights on the outside of the fan. And we did test this, and I think they were only pulling around about 0.1 of an amp, or about 100 milliamps. But basically, when you've got those little LED lights on, it draws next to no power. It hardly has any impact on the power that the fan's drawing. The fan itself draws more power, so if you need these LEDs, they're certainly bright enough to light up a caravan. but you're not lighting up a campsite with those. Certainly a handy function and quite useful at that. But if it didn't have those LEDs, I wouldn't have been concerned at all. If I had to complain about anything, it's that little bit of vibration when it's oscillating, albeit that it does make that little bit of a noise, that little bit of a vibration, which I think I'm going to be able to work out of it. This is still one of the quietest fans that I've had in the caravan, so it works pretty well. That box fan, that $10, $15, excellent. So if you're on 240 volt, just go and grab yourself one of those box fans. Yeah, you'll be really happy with one of those, certainly for the price. This is not a Conformo or Calformo or whatever those brands are. The Siroccos, they're super quiet and move quite a bit of air, but you're looking around about $150. You can't see them cheaper, can't see them more expensive. I know the caravan guys are probably going to beat me up over it, and realistically, if you've got that sort of money to spend, go and get one. Great fan, but very expensive for what they are. But if you want to do it once and do it right, then go and have a look at one of those. And one other thing that I noticed actually in practice was these little LED lights that are on the front, these indicator lights that show that it's charging or operating or under power, they light up really, really bright. So I actually had this in the car when I was using it on the Australia Day long weekend, sleeping in the back of the car, and I had it pretty much in front of my face, dragging the breeze in through one window and out the side and blowing directly on me. And those two little LEDs that are on the front are just too bright. The blue one in particular was lighting up the whole car. So there'll be a little bit of Leco tape thrown over the top of those if I was going to use those in the car again. Again, come down to the location. It was literally this far from my face. So I like it dark and I like it quiet when I'm trying to have a snooze. And that takes away from that. So it's a little bit of a niggle. Not a deal breaker, certainly not by any means. Very happy with it. But if I was complaining about anything, a little bit of a vibration and how bright those LEDs are, albeit that they serve the purpose. Solidly made, nice light unit, around about the 3 kilos. So far, so good. Just wanted to squeeze this one in case anybody spotted these down at Aldi and were interested and wanted to know a little bit about them. I think you can pretty much tell that I'll be heading down to get another one this weekend. The more amount of power that these use, really, really impressed. That was something that sold me straight off the bat. Compared to the coolbreeze and the breezeway fan, so this is actually using less on high than what those two guys are using on low. Realistically, I'd say don't touch one of these. They're just too power hungry and they're just too bloody noisy. Rule them out. For the $50-60 you're going to pay for this, get one of these. If you watch a few of my other reviews lately, you'll see that I tend to like the stuff that I get to test, and I try and be fairly positive about it, but whilst being honest. This one is right up there. I'm really impressed with this fan, and I'm hoping that's coming across. These, going back in the shed. So this one, going back in the house. This one, with the longest cord I've ever seen on a 12 volt device, it's going back in the caravan. So my only recommendation is, if you're going to get one of these, let me get in first. So that's it guys, that's the little Aldi 240 volt and 12 volt rechargeable fan. Thanks very much for stopping by. We'll catch you on the next one. Go get a fan.